Hey guys, Chris here. In this video, we are doing the 120 kilometers an hour or 75 miles per hour range test in the brand new Nio ET5 with the 100 kilowatt hour battery pack. So today we're going to find out just how far this car can go on a full charge of battery. And then at the end of the video, we're going to come back to these chargers, connect and see what kind of charging speed will we actually get after a few hours on the road with passive heating of the battery. So in this video, we don't do any preconditioning, no preheating. We do that in a different test here on the channel. So today is all about that maximum range, maximum efficiency, and then for fun, connecting and see what kind of charging speed we get after just preheating. And then at the very end of the video, we're going to put this car into a chart and see how good or well it compares to the competition. So the WLTP rated range of this car on 20-inch wheels, which this is equipped with, is 540 kilometers, which is interesting because the ET7, its bigger brother, actually has a WLTP rated range of 580 kilometers on 20-inch wheels. So different types of wheels, but also that longer shape usually makes these sedans or saloons a little bit more aerodynamic. So either way, it's going to be interesting to find out how much range we will get out of this car today. We are now Oscar Mike, and we've been on the road for around 25 minutes, cruising northward on the E6 motorway now, and conditions today are pretty darn nice. 24-25 degrees Celsius outside, dry roads, sunny skies, and a crosswind from the west of 3 meters per second. But since it's a crosswind, it shouldn't impact the consumption too much. Maybe it will, well, we'll have to see at the end of the video. And talking about consumption, this car, Nios, still don't have a kilowatt hour per 100 kilometers readout, which you can reset. So the car is going to show us total consumption, which is, if we take a look here, is 9.6 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. But at our turnaround point, we're going to do some calculations so I can give you guys an update of the consumption when we get there. But, well, I can't do one now because I don't want to do the calculations on the fly when I'm driving. So this car, pretty interesting. You still have, you know, those same battery packs as you get in other Nios, 75 kilowatt hour gross and 100 kilowatt hour gross. 100 kilowatt hour gross is 90 kilowatt hours usable. As I said in the intro, giving this car a WLTP rated range of 540 kilometers. If you go for the 19-inch wheels, I think that range goes up to 590 kilometers, which is the car to get if you want the most range. But that's what we're going to find out in today's video, is how far will we be able to go. Other than that, this is a much cheaper car than other Nios I've been testing recently, the ET7 and EL7. This, like, spec'd with the big battery pack, if you actually purchase it, is a little more than 600,000 kroners here in Norway, or 60,000 euros. I think like 63,000 euros here in Norway, which is a really good price for a car with this range and this performance. The downsides to this car compared to the EL7 and ET7, if you watch those reviews or those videos, those range tests, is that there is a lot more road noise in here, as you guys can see. But still, for this type of vehicle, this class of vehicle, it's pretty decent. It's not as quiet as something like a Hyundai Ioniq 6, which is going to be a lot quieter. Again, I've also only driven that car on 18-inch wheels, so I can't comment on the 20s. But the spec, the configurations I've driven of that car is a lot quieter than this. But this is going to be a lot quieter than something like a Tesla Model 3. And what you're also going to get is binging and bonging and binging and bonging, which is still annoying in this car. But since this isn't a 100,000 euro car or a million kroner car, it's not as annoying. Still annoying, but not as annoying. Once again, guys, we are here at our turnaround point, which is in Moelv, and we're gonna, well, exit the motorway here, do a 180, and then get back on the southbound ramp, and then go southward back towards Oslo again. And outside temperature is still around 24 degrees Celsius. A little bit more cloudy today, so not running the AC as hard, as powerful as we may have if well, it was a little bit more sunny. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do a quick stop here in this bus stop to do some calculations. So the total consumption is 24.7 kilowatt hours for the total trip, and we divide that by 108. We get an average consumption of 22.87 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. So that is our basis. And I'm guessing we're going to stay pretty much the same. Maybe we'll drop down to 22 blank or 22.0, but we'll have to see. So do a left here, and then we're going to go on the southbound ramp, as I said here. And for me, it's going to be an hour. For you guys, it's going to be a few seconds, and I'll talk to you soon. We are now back here at our starting point. As typical, we're going to exit, and then on the exit ramp here, there is another exit. And then we're going to do a right here. So exit, exit, right. And then we are going to stop the timer. So that is hour 55 minutes and also 20.0 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. And then you guys may be thinking like, hey, isn't that less than when you were half point? Yes, it is. But I stopped to go to the toilet, so that's why. So we're gonna have to add that to the time before, and then do some calculations. But before we do all of that, we're going to back up into this charger here. This is a 225 kilowatt charger. But there are a lot of vacant chargers over here, so we are not occupying anything that we shouldn't, and if we do, we're gonna move. But we're gonna see what kind of charging speed we now get after a few hours on the road. The charge port on the ET5 is on the driver's side rear 3/4, which is a nice place to have the charge port. Let's go ahead and take a look at the charger here. If it quickly, yeah, right away, look at this, very quickly initializing. And we are currently at 32% state of charge, and we are getting 117 kilowatts, so 361 volts, 325 amps. This charger can deliver up to 500 amps, no problem. So we are limited. I mean, the amperage is limited by what the battery is telling the charger not to deliver, and that's why we're limited to 117 kilowatts. This being the 100 kilowatt hour battery pack, the peak charging speed is 126 kilowatts. Oh, where did I put my, let's see, where did I put my, this one? I have to beep my tag here again, and then we'll get that information. So this battery pack is limited to 126 kilowatts or 140 kilowatts. There are a little bit of conflicting information, but I've never been able to get more than like 126 kilowatts from any of these Nios with the 100 kilowatt hour battery pack. Before we crunch all the numbers and do all the calculations and find out what range this car was able to achieve under today's conditions, I just want to give a huge thanks to today's video sponsor, Recharge, which is the largest charge point operator in the Nordic countries, Norway, Sweden, and Finland, with 4,000 charging points across all of these countries. So if you plan on traveling in any of these countries this summer, you're coming from, well, outside of Europe, and you want to, well, visit and drive an electric car, I would highly recommend you guys to go to the link down below and just find out where the closest chargers on your route will be. They've been upgrading and also updating a lot of charging stations lately, so if there wasn't one where you lived before, if you live in Norway, Sweden, or Finland, maybe there is one now. So again, huge thanks to Recharge for sponsoring today's video. Now for what you guys have been waiting for, the range of this car. But it isn't as easy as in every other car where you have a kilowatt hour per 100 kilometers readout. You take the battery pack size, divide it by that, and then you get the range. This car doesn't have a kilowatt hour per 100 kilometers readout that you can reset for every trip, but it has a total trip consumption. So we're going to have to take that number before I went to the toilet and after, because every time you hop out of this car, it does reset. So if you're going to do these calculations yourself, you're going to have to take notes and just be aware of that. It does reset every time you get in and out of the car. So the total trip consumption for our whole trip is 49.9 kilowatt hours. We take that number, divided by the distance, 216 kilometers, we get an average consumption of 23.1 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. So we can now take that 90 kilowatt hour usable battery capacity and then divide it by the consumption and then subtract about 3% in heat loss. We get a range under today's conditions of 380 178 kilometers, which is pretty decent, but is not as good as what we got from the Nio ET5, which is its bigger brother. Granted, as I said at the beginning of the video, that car is longer, so it's going to be more aerodynamic with a saloon shape like this. That car was also on 19-inch wheels. This is on 20-inch wheels, and these 20-inch wheels are a lot less aerodynamic than the 19s on that car. Also, the tires were narrower on that car, so there are a lot of caveats. But another thing is that today is a lot warmer than it was when I did the test in the ET7. That ET7 was like 8 to 10 degrees Celsius. Today it's been between 23 and 25 degrees Celsius. So arguably today, better conditions, you know, around 20 to 25 degrees Celsius, especially when we've had a little bit cloudy weather, is a real good temperature and really good conditions to be able to get that maximum efficiency. But this is reflected by the WLTP numbers, but it's just kind of interesting with these electric cars that, you know, the bigger car, the heavier car, the more expensive car is more efficient than the smaller car. But it's still a pretty decent result when it comes to a car at this price point. But there are cars out there that are gonna do better. So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please drop me a thumbs up down below, and for more car content, as always, please subscribe. See you guys around. Goodbye.